funny guy, and this is his podcast, In the Rye. It's the In the Rye Podcast. Curt, Fletcher.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Episode 49 In the Rye Podcast with Curt, Fletcher. I'm your host, Curt, Fletcher. My guest today is going to be my good friend, comedian Dougie Almeida. Super excited to have him on. He's got a podcast called Wake Up Late with Dougie. Check that out for sure. Just a couple of things to talk about before we bring him in. Haven't done an episode in about a month or so. I've been traveling quite a bit, and it's been tough to schedule one of these podcasts. It's been cool doing a lot of shows, though. I had a lot of shows in December. I won the First Fridays contest at Tractor Brewery in Albuquerque, which was a lot of fun. And then I went to Dallas. I performed at Hyenas in Dallas December 9th through the 11th with my good friend Tim Gaither. And it's always fun working with Tim. And the host was Emily Griefer. She was awesome. Also got to meet Head Richards, who's a local comic there. Very funny guy. Got to hang out with him a little bit afterwards. And went to dinner with him a couple nights. Super cool guy. I got to hang out with some old friends also while I was there. That was cool. And then it was on the 14th. My friend John and I went to a live episode of Jarrett Goes to the Movies podcast, which is one of my favorite podcasts in the world. It's super fun. Jarrett, who does my intro music, he hosts the show, and they had Thomas Ian Nichols from, what's that his name? I don't know, a dude from American Pie. So they watched American Pie with him, and he kind of, told some stories about when they were filming and all that, and it was a pretty cool night. And then at the end of the podcast, they ended up doing some songs together, which is pretty cool. Jarrett and Eric from the podcast did some songs with Thomas. He's a musician as well, and they did a version of Stacy's Mom, but they changed it to Stifler's Mom, which was pretty funny. And they did a few songs afterwards, and it was pretty cool nights. Then I ended up going to Peoria, Illinois. I got to work with Lindsay Glazer at Jukebox Comedy Club, which was a lot of fun. It was cool because I'd never been to Peoria before, and one of my best friends from where I grew up, he actually grew up in Peoria, so it was kind of cool to see Peoria. And I got to take a picture of the Richard Pryor statue while I was there. That was pretty cool. They built the statue like in 2014 or 15. And so I actually went, I took Lindsay to the airport at like 4 a.m, and I got back to Peoria around 5 a.m. And so I decided to go take a picture of the statue. And with the statue, I was actually going to do my favorite. So I knew Richard Pryor as an actor before I even knew he was a stand-up comedian when I was a kid. Because I'd never seen any of his stand-up when I was a kid. But one of my favorite movies as a kid was Moving. And one of my favorite scenes from that was when he was yelling at his boss, and he flipped him off, but he was using his index finger the entire time while he was yelling at him. So I was what I wanted to do, I was going to go to the statue, and I was going to record myself flipping off the statue and yelling. And I decided not to because it was 5 a.m. and I saw some cops down the street, and I didn't want to get arrested for just standing there and screaming at the Richard Pryor statue. I don't know what I would have been arrested for, but I'm sure they would have came over and said something to me. Maybe I should have just done it for a good story, but it was pretty cool to see that though. And obviously when I got older, I got to see Richard Pryor stand up, and he's one of the best of all time to do it. So pretty cool that they have a statue of him there. So if you ever go to Peoria, you got to check out the statue. And you also have to check out Big Al's Strip Club. It's pretty cool. What else did I do? I don't know if I did any other shows since then. I'm starting a new podcast though. Starting a Simpsons related podcast called Poison Pizza Podcast, which I'll be starting in January. And I'm hoping to put out an episode every week. And every episode will be talking about an episode of The Simpsons, starting from season 1, episode 1. I'm going to have guests on for probably every episode. Maybe not. Maybe I'll just do some solo ones. I'm excited for that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. I've had a lot of people reach out to me already who want to be on, so that's cool. Yeah, that's about it for shows that I've done. We have some shows coming up here. Let's look at my list here. I've got so every Monday I'm at Founders or the El Rey Theater, hosting an open mic with Holly Bird. Founders is a cool little place. We did our open mic there last night, and that's a cool little speakeasy that's down in the basement of a liquor store downtown. And it doesn't hold very many people, but it's pretty cool. The 29th, I'm performing at Revel, which hopefully this will be posted before that. There's about 20 comics that are going to be on the show. We're all doing 5 minutes, and it's going to be filmed and everything. It's going to be a lot of fun. New Year's Eve, I got a show. I don't even know the venue yet. The guy who booked it doesn't really know what the venue is called either. So I know it's in Nob Hill, and I had the address, but I don't have it in front of me. But I'll have it up on my website. All my tour dates will be on my website, funnyfletcher.com. So January the 7th, I'll be at Tractor Brewery on 4th Street. Got to defend my title. On the 8th of January, I'll be at the Moonlight Lounge with Rusty Rutherford and Zoltan. Zoltan's very funny. If you haven't seen him, come check him out. The 12th through 16th, I'll be in Little Rock, Arkansas at the Looney Bin with a comedian named Jersey, who I've never met before, but I've heard he's really funny. The 19th through 22nd, I'll be at the Tulsa Looney Bin with Jersey also. February 4th, I'll be headlining the Salt Yard West in Albuquerque. And then I fly to Reno the next day, February 5th. Me and Tim Gaither are doing 2 shows. I believe it's called the Alpine is the venue. We're going to do 2 shows out there. And then March 11th and 12th, I'm at Stir Crazy in Glendale with Lisa Alvarado. Then the 13th, I'm doing Stir Crazy with Tim Gaither. And then the following week, I'll be in Los Angeles doing some shows. Hopefully I'll get a spot at the Comedy Store. I've always wanted to do a spot there. So hopefully we'll make that happen. And yeah, that's it for now. Check out the website, funnyfletcher.com. And yeah, got a bunch of shows. I got other shows past March also. Got some in May and June lined up too. So those are all on the website. Go check it out. All right, that's it. Let's go talk to Dougie Almeida, everybody. All right, my guest today, Dougie Almeida. How you doing, buddy?
What's up?
How are you? Where are you living now, man? Are you South Carolina?
Yeah, I am in Greenville, South Carolina area.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to move here so we just tell people it's horrible here. It's horseshit. Don't come here. It's the worst place. Just you're better off going to like Detroit.
Oh, Detroit's great this time of year.
Yeah.
I think my old roommate lives in South Carolina. He I don't know if you ever met Jake Sharon. He was a comic for a long time. But he lives out, I think he's in South Carolina, might be Greenville even. I'll have to I'll have to reach out to him and see where he's at. But he doesn't do much stand up anymore. He does some improv here and there. But how long have you been out in South Carolina now? Because you're from Florida, right?
Well, originally from New York City, Queens, but we moved to Florida when I was a kid, so I grew up there. Jeez, all my life, pretty much, since I was like 5 years old.
Okay.
And yeah, the wife said, I'm tired of the hurricanes and the heat. And I said, listen, the Miami Hurricanes will come back. They're not going to be in their 80s, and the Miami Heat won a few titles. Can't be that bad. But no, and listen, it's just hot. South Florida, first of all, it's turning into a shithole. I mean, there's so many people moving there. I mean, there's traffic all the time. I went back, I was just there, and I just caught COVID again.
Oh, really?
I got COVID again, being down there. And but there's traffic all the time, so everybody's down there. Millions of people moving there, right? So it's just busy. And in the summer, it's brutal because it's like 195 degrees, but it feels like 3,000. And you got swamp ass, and you got to just be in the air conditioning all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And then of course the hurricanes. Every summer it's like, whoop, hope we don't get hit. And yeah, it's just brutal. So it was nice this summer to be here in South Carolina and not worry about a hurricane. Yeah, just have to worry about tornadoes now.
Oh, really? Okay. There's probably more comedy opportunities in Florida, I'd imagine, but what part? You said South Florida? What town were you in?
I was in a place called Coral Springs.
Oh, okay. That's right by Miami, right?
Yeah, we're about 40 minutes north of Miami, 10 minutes south of Boca Raton.
Okay, cool.
On the East Coast, yeah.
I've only been to Florida once. I went to Fort Myers, and I was there in October, and it was hot as shit.
Yeah, that's the thing, and well, you're in Fort Myers. I mean, nice town, but as it compares for Florida, it's not on that top list of places to go.
Yeah.
But and it's the West Coast. West Coast is different. West Coast had a lot of Midwestern people come down I-75, and they stayed on the West Coast of Florida. People from Jersey and New York all came down I-95 and stayed on the East Coast. If you go to a grocery store in the West Coast of Florida, and then go to a grocery store on the East Coast of Florida, you will see a difference. Just like you said, if you went from the Northeast to the Midwest. Yeah,
That's
it's a big
interesting.
difference.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you started doing comedy in Florida?
Yep. Yeah.
Cool.
I still got rooms down there. I got 3 rooms. We're still booking, and and yeah, I mean, the scene was great, especially during the pandemic, because everything was open. COVID doesn't exist to a Floridian. So, you had a lot of things open, but everything else was closed. So that was good. But a lot of one-nighters, and there's all over, but Florida's big,
It's
sometimes
huge,
you
yeah.
gotta drive 5-6 hours to go to some of these gigs. But yeah, and then coming out here, I thought it'd be better because when you live in South Florida but you work the East Coast, you got to take 6 hours to get out of Florida, to get 5 hours to drive out, and we're all the way at the end. So yeah, so I thought, I live in South Carolina, so most of my gigs will be 3 or 4 hour drive, which is good, because
That's
there's
great.
still more gigs in Tennessee and North Carolina and stuff like that.
That's awesome, man. How's your weekend at the Comedy Catch in Chattanooga?
Good, man. It was one of those weeks I got to work with Mutzi, comedian.
Okay.
And so it was booked as a clean show. So I was doing 25 minutes featuring, which is, I could do clean. And, and there's like anything, it wasn't family clean. It's not like you had to do, dry bar clean kind of thing. So it was fun. And it was good because there's a particular comedy club owner that thinks I'm just blue. So I got the video. I'm going to send it to her.
Oh, really?
And say, here's me doing 25 minutes of clean,
Yeah.
Interesting. So, but yeah,
I
it was
remember,
great.
I don't remember your material being that blue at all.
Not really. I've had that happen in the past. Like Jeff from the Looney Bin. After I started working there, he came out to see me at Little Rock one time. He goes, "Why did I think you were a lot dirtier than that?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I couldn't tell you. Maybe that one video, that one part of the video they see, because you never know, And but yeah, so but I got to get clear. I want to write. I want to do a set for Dry Bar. I have some potentially ins there. So
Cool.
I'd like to, I'm working on a 40 minute new set of just Mormon clean. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
So,
yeah.
How
Yeah, that
about you?
stuff's
You
got to be
dirty?
insanely clean. What's that?
Are you dirty? Are you dirty? You clean or?
I'm
Well, I got
not
to fix
like
something on my screen. I got to fix something. Oh, all right. The we're recording memo is on right in front of your face.
oh.
We can edit that out.
Oh yeah, it wasn't on my end, so that's all good. My set's not like super dirty. I've got some edgy stuff, but nothing like super dirty, and I don't swear a lot, so
Yeah.
But it's not like super clean either, like I don't know if I could pull off a 30-minute dry bar special unless I really sat down and worked on it.
Well, that was the thing, it was in the middle of this year, a friend of mine said, hey, if you need, I can get you on there right now. I got, with what's going on. I go, I don't know. I don't have it. I don't want to, I don't have that 40 minutes of that,
Yeah.
And so that's great because it's pushing me to do that. And, the more you write clean, the more you write clean, you realize this is easier than I thought, because it's a lot more act outs. It's a lot more you're just being more of a wordsmith. You don't have to just to come up with some funny words, expressions, and some things. And you don't have to write. Most of the time, I think we just get into this mode, like, I got to write a really funny joke, and I got to really put it, and sometimes it's just a simple thing. Like my opening joke when I go on stage is I'm in a good mood because I fit in this shirt. And that's it. There's a simple, it's word. It's just an expression. It's a phrase, and it's funny. And is it a joke? It's just you saying something funny. That's something I learned from Rich Voss years ago. He's like, there's days going to come. It's like, you're not going to be writing jokes. You're just going to be saying things that are funny. And that's all you really want to do as a comic. You want to just go up there like Chappelle. Are those jokes that Chappelle is telling, for the most part, or is he just telling you things that are funny as shit? Cause he's telling you as Dave Chappelle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah, because I'm always like, man, I gotta write jokes. But yeah, that's a pretty cool way to look at it.
And it's hard, you think about it, the more you think about it, because it's funny now when I do comedy shows, I'm introduced as now from Simpsonville, South Carolina, Dougie Almeida, and I walk out and they're like, this guy's from Simpsonville, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just that immediate impression, so I'm like, yeah, I've never felt more like a slightly taller, slightly fatter Joe Pesci ever in my life, and it's something I said one night in an open mic here in Greenville. And just came out like, because the guy introduced me, I thought, well, that's like 5 minutes, talking about me living in Greenville, South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
So it's just amazing. Just when you look at certain things, I went to an old book, a joke writing book, when I was at a seminar, one of these during a festival, and looking at notes, and I remember it was like, the thing was to just take funny words or expressions or things that have recently happened, and you write it down, and then from there you write words that associate with that theme, and then funny expressions. And next thing you know, shit, I got 3 more minutes.
Oh yeah. It's fun. Yeah, because I hang out with a lot of comics, and it's funny to see like how they do their stuff. Like, I was hanging out with a friend of mine one time, and his kids were there, and his kid was doing something funny, and then he made a comment about it, and then he's like, shit, I could use that as material. And he just starts writing it down, and he's like, all of a sudden he's got like a 5-minute new bit, like just from hanging out with his kid. I was like, I need to start doing shit like that, hanging out with people's kids.
Yeah, he's a perv. The guy's a perv. I'm hanging out with my kid. Like hilarious. So that's a joke right there. I try to write material, so I'm hanging around a bunch of kids. I'm at the playground with a pen. I'm sitting there not with a camera. I'm sitting there with a pen and paper. Just, hey kid, come here, talk to me for 3 seconds. Have some ideas. What do you think of bubble gum? Bubble gum. I'm not giving you bubble gum, kid. I just wanted. What do you think of bubble gum? What's your first thought? Tell me some words. Dad, this guy wants me to blow him. I didn't say. I said bubble gum. How dare you?
Oh, that's great. How long have you been doing stand-up?
It's funny. I'm pretty sure it's 14 years.
Okay.
I think I started in 06, 07.
Yeah.
So I think it's right around there, which is kind of scary because now, there's the 10-year rule, right?
Yeah.
Like when I was talking to a newer comic, he goes, what's the 10-year rule? I go, well, to me, the 10-year rule, man, if you've been doing comedy for at least 10 years and you're not working, or at least you're not becoming a professional in that sense. Because if you're doing anything for 10 years and you're not doing well, that's bad, because you could have been a doctor by now.
Yeah.
In 10 years, like if you focused your time. And so there's the 10-year rule, and then there's like the 15, 20-year rule, because, once you get to 15 years or so and you're not, like somebody recently busted my chops, like, you don't even have an album yet. I'm like, no, I was not one of those guys who wanted to do like an album just to do it. I didn't want to just to say, and it's not like, I have a profession. I'm a licensed fiduciary. I manage money for a living for 30 years. So it's not like I need the money for, airing on, online, on satellite radio, whatever it is, or I need an album for the sale.
Yeah.
I don't need that, And I always thought I'm going to put together, like I had Dale Jones on my podcast, and it was like, he just put his album out after doing it for years. And he's like, he said the same thing. He's like, because I didn't want to put a shitty album out. It took me 15 years to get all that work together in a nice thing. And that's what I feel like. I feel like I'm finally at that point. Whatever I'm doing now, whatever my set is now, the 40 minutes to my hour set is basically, even at this point, not even exactly polished to the point. I feel like I want to do.
So it's so hard to get hour-long gigs too, to practice it.
Yeah. Well, that was like when I was at the Comedy Catch. What was interesting is, I wanted to show, since I'm only doing 20, 25 minutes, I wanted to show them that I could do, not the same 20 minutes. I wanted to do maybe like a different 15, core 5-7 minutes, that kind of thing. And then just throw in another 10 or 15, change it up each show, and I think that's a good thing, especially if you're featuring, you definitely want the club to know, that you got the time,
Oh yeah.
And that kind of thing. But, you're right. That happens a lot. I remember when I first started featuring, that's when you start realizing your set construction. So it's one thing to come up with a half hour. I got a half hour, but then once you start doing a half hour, you're like, oh, you know what? I got to put this in the beginning. I got to put this before. Oh, you know what? I got a great joke that'll call back. And if I just do this first and stuff, but you don't get to do that unless you spread your wings and, and do it. I was a professional Thai boxer. So if I'm going to get into a 3-round fight with somebody, I would train 6 rounds. If I was a 2-round fight, I would train at least 4 rounds. That you had that. So if you really want to get good at doing professional sets, you really got to figure out if you're only doing open mics, it's difficult. And you tell the newer comic, you get frustrated, right? When you go to an open mic and you see the comics doing the same fucking 5 minutes all the time, you're like, dude, don't you have anything else that you're working on? Because like right now, we talk about dry bar. My buddy, Tom Emmons, has a clean show here in South Carolina in Liberty, and it's called The Joke Show, and it's all clean. It's for family, kids, they can come, which is great because it's a 10-minute set. So I figured, if I could put together 10-minute sets, and just go there on a week whenever I'm in town, just keep going there and work on that 10 minutes and completely different 10 minutes the week after. And, eventually you got 30, 40 minutes of a family clean set.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I don't get frustrated when I see the comics doing the same 5, because I was taught to build like a really solid 5 when I first started. So, if I had like a new joke that was really solid, I would throw out one joke until I had like a really, really solid 5 minutes. And then I would start working on the next solid 5 minutes. So then I had a solid 10, and then I started hosting after that. And I've just always been kind of like that. So then I would start building like a solid 15, then a solid 20, then a solid 25, Yeah,
but you didn't keep working on that same 5.
That's true.
You did. It's like we got to challenge ourselves. I mean, I have it. Years ago, I stopped going to open mics, and then my buddy Tim Hanlon, funny guy, he's like, "Hey, we started going back to open mics," and it just helped because. That's where you're going to do it. Sometimes it's great when you work at a gig, right? When you're doing, let's say you have 4 shows on a weekend, and so you're doing 30 minutes each show. At least I got a little time. I'm going to put some new jokes in there. I'm going to try these out, somewhere in the middle of the set, and those are great. But you don't want to. You definitely want to. Like when I go to open mics now, I don't even worry about telling jokes. I just throw out premises. Like I'll share this one with you. Like the new joke. Here's the worst. This is actually a funny story. Because I wrote this, I said, because it was true. I'm sitting there doing this stuff, and I'm like, you know what? I'm really getting disappointed in myself. I don't know if I can handle this future with all this technology. I don't know if I'm ready for it because I can't even pass on I'm not a robot test. Like, is that a fucking bike? I don't know. Is that a bike? Is that a crosswalk? I don't know. Is that part of like, you know what I mean? Like, and then of course I put on there in Geico commercial, there's a robot.
Yeah.
You can't pass the test. I'm like, God damn it. This, and then I can't tell that joke now.
Yeah.
But I just came out with an open mic before that commercial came out. I'm like, I'm really disappointed in myself. I can't pass those. I'm not a robot test. And people laughed, and that was the beginning of it. And I thought, okay, I can work on that, And that's what I've been doing lately. I go to open mics. Whatever thought I have, I just put it out there, and hopefully, like a bike chain,
Oh yeah.
I could find something on it. But that's the fun. That to me is a fun part of the process right now. Is really trying to get to that goal, right? Because if I'm not getting booked as much right now, we were talking about before the show. I'm not. My calendar is a little lighter than I'd hope by now. But listen, I'm not going to fret because we know how crazy we can get if there's not our calendar isn't booked. Right. We're like, especially when you see other people on social media, I'm working, fuck you, asshole. You know what I mean? Like you, Tim Gaither, you guys are all week. We're all talking about our little tour, and you guys are all working. I'm sitting at home, playing online poker. I'm like, oh, good for you guys. Good for you guys. Yeah. Just keep rubbing it in. Just keep rubbing it in, Curt. Just keep rubbing it in. Yeah, I'm going to be working. I'm opening for Tim over here at Hyenas. Good for you, fucking Curt.
Sorry. All right. I'll make sure I'll take your name off of there so you can't see it next time. You're just like, man, Curt hasn't posted any gigs in a while.
Yeah, Curt, is everything okay?
I actually, I host an open mic every Monday, so it's pretty cool. So I gotta, try out whatever I want there, which is pretty nice. Plus, I get to hang out with all the local comics. Like, we've got a pretty good scene here in Albuquerque right now. It's pretty awesome. Like, we don't have a club or anything, but we got a shit ton of open mics.
I was wondering, I missed it there. The last time I was there, I was headlining at Santa Ana Casino.
Oh yeah,
Santa Ana Star it was a combination of Funny Business and Tribble Run. And there was the Into the Mountain Gods, which is always a great. They had that room there. But I guess they haven't reopened the shows there.
Barry Neal took that one over, the End of the Mountain Gods, and they haven't. I was booked there in July, but they didn't have enough staff, so they canceled. And I haven't heard back from him at all, so I don't know what the deal is there. I think because he used to book an Air Force base down in Alamogordo, which was pretty close to the End of the Mountain Gods. So I think he's trying to piggyback those two, Thursday and Friday. But Santa Ana, I haven't heard anything about that yet, so I have no idea.
That was a lot of fun, because funny Business has bumped me to headline, which is nice for a lot of the rooms, except of course Dr. Grins, which is their A room, which is their the national headliners come in on that one. But that was a fun run. I mean, I had a famous story going around because I had a night off. Going to the Santa Ana and then Into the Mountain Gods, and I stayed at some Quality Inn just outside the Into the Mountain Gods. And of course, I was driving through Arizona. Weed's legal. I wish it was free. And I was smoking up, and I got tired. I didn't want to go out of the hotel room, so I smoked in the hotel bathroom because it had one of those like suction, like the air vent that would just.
Oh yeah.
I thought, oh, this is awesome, blowing it in there, sucking it in. I guess I don't know if it must have been cheap because it went right in through one and probably into somebody else's room. And next thing you know, I have a knock at the door, and the guy's like, "You smell that?" I go, "Yeah, I ordered pizza. What do you mean?" And the guy's, "I smell weed." And I'm like, and then the guy comes, the young guy, and he's like, it's actually funny because I still had problems, but I had a pinched nerve in my neck. So I was driving for like 2 weeks. I was on the road, and I get there, and I'm like, my neck. And the guy behind the young kid, Indian kid, goes, "Oh, what's the matter?" I'm like, I got a pinched nerve. He's like, "Oh, you want me to rub it out for you?" I'm like, "What?" And he's like, I'm in school for massage therapy. I'm like, I'm all right. So then he came to the door. And he's like, "You smell that? We smell weed." And I'm like, "No, I don't." And then the general manager, some Indian guy, comes, "Julie, you smoking pot in there? You smoke pot? If you catch you smoking pot, I'm going to drag you outside and out of the room." And you know what I mean? I'm like, "All right, calm the fuck down." So so next thing you know, Kid comes back. I'm like, what is it now? He comes back, it's industrial size Febreze bottle. He's like, yeah, you may want to use this. So I use that. And then he calls me at 11:30. The phone rings. Well, what the fuck is this guy? He's like, hey, I just want to let you know they're charging you $250 for smoking in the room. I go, well, we'll see how that works out. So the next day I go down to the lobby and I talk to this girl behind the counter. And I go, hey, I got a problem. She goes, oh, yeah, you're the room with the weed, right? I go, yeah, I'm in room 420. And she goes, well, yeah, they charged you for smoking weed. I go, never smoked weed in that room. And I took this little glass vial where a pre-rolled went in. And I said, I told your staff guy that was here when I got here that I had a pinched nerve, and he solicited me for a massage, which I thought is interesting. I think the people at Quality Inn, the home office, is going to find interesting when I report all this. And she went, oh, and you could tell by her face, this has happened before. You know what I mean?
Oh,
She
really?
wasn't surprised. Like, he did what? He was like, she could tell. And I said, yeah. And I said, and then besides that, and I took out my phone. This was Curt. This was the poker call of the day. I pulled out my phone. I go, oh yeah. And by the way, and then when your general manager came to my door and he threatened my life by telling me he was going to drag me out of my room and kick me out of the room physically while I'm in pain. I got a pinched nerve and I'm trying to rest. He physically, he threatened me with physical violence by throwing me out into the street. I have that recorded because I recorded the whole ordeal. I think Quality Inn's home office is going to be very happy to hear all this. But if you want to charge me that $250, let's see what happens. I got a call. Like 20 minutes later. Yeah, the charge was removed, but please don't smoke in here again. So if that can help anybody get out of a smoking in a room fee, let me use it.
Oh, for sure. You did really have the recording?
No, I didn't. But I bluffed it. I mean, listen.
Oh, yeah.
I just know I had my phone in the hand when he was there.
Oh, yeah.
When the guy came to the door. So
yeah,
I'm sure he was thinking, he doesn't know. He's not
Oh,
going
for sure.
Is he going to take that chance, to have Quality Inn, home office call him? You threaten somebody,
Oh, yeah.
So it was great.
That's funny. That was in Arizona.
Yeah, I was on that area, and I was like right outside the getting to the Mountain Gods, right? Because I ended up having a day before in between. So I got a cheap hotel for $50, whatever it was that night.
Yeah.
And then, then to do the Inn of the Mountain Gods the next night, whatever it was. But I missed those drives, man. That was a very scenic area in that area.
Yeah, really nice down there. Yeah, the whole state of New Mexico is very nice until you start getting towards Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a kind of a funny thing at a hotel in Arizona once. I was like, I couldn't get the shower working, like the knob that you pull to get the shower on, like it was like stuck, and I couldn't get it, and so I had to call maintenance because I didn't want to break it and get charged for it. So the maintenance guy came, and like it took him a while to get it. It was like, I don't know if it was like rusty or something, but he finally gets it on and the shower's going, and he goes, "Are you gonna shower right now?" And I was like, "Well, I was gonna wait till you left."
Oh, you want to rub my back?
But yeah, that was pretty fun.
Well, you're a real handyman, I guess, huh? You're a real handyman. They call those things diverters, and I only know that because, like, when I sold my house in Florida, we had the inspection, and one of the inspection guys says, "Well, the diverter in the bathroom is not working." So that's when you pull the thing up, so it goes from the bathtub water into the shower head to the diverter.
I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah. So this is like a Bob Villa podcast. So but the guy, it was funny because the guy who bought my house was great. I mean, he didn't give a shit. He was like, I never saw one of those that did work,
Oh yeah.
There's nothing, first of all, there's nothing worse when you're going to take a shower, and especially on the road in a hotel, and they got that shitty water pressure, and it's like you're trying to take a shower under a drain, like a drain leaker, like, like sitting there trying to fucking.
Do you remember the old condo at Loonies had the worst water pressure? I don't know if you ever went to the old condo at Loonies, but it had the worst water pressure ever.
I know that I know in Looney Bin one time they had one. I ended up taking, it was just horrible. It was like coming out like light rainwater. Yeah. I remember just taking the shower head off. I said, "Fuck this." I unscrewed the shower head, so it just came out of like a pipe, like a water, like just like.
That's probably in Tulsa, I bet.
I think so.
Yeah.
You're right. And but whenever I worked Loonies, I always stayed at a hotel for some reason. Either on my own, or I got a free hotel because I had some stuff in La Quinta for a while. So I just stayed at the hotel, and then I'm actually going to be there in March. So
Oh, nice.
hopefully,
What week are you there?
I gotta look, March 14th, 15th, something like that.
Oh, right on.
Middle of the month. And Eric's great. He says, they don't give a hotel to the features. So, but my buddy lives out there. He runs a grow house. So
oh, nice.
I'll be staying at Colorado Springs at a big weed farm.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, you could smoke in his bathroom and he won't give a shit.
That's right. What a great place, like at a weed where they grow weed. You got to visit the gift shop. You know what I mean? Every like you got to have if you grow weed, you got to have a gift shop. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I still have a card for the it's called the Green Solution in Colorado. That's where I get all my edibles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a nice was it Fruity Pebbles?
Oh yeah.
Edible right now downstairs, and because now I have COVID, so I can't really smoke. I don't want to burn any flower. But when we get done here, the neighbors are having a get together on the driveway. We do that here in South Carolina. So I'm going to go down there, and they all know I have COVID, so I got to go wear a mask outside, I'm going to be like a true liberal, and hopefully I'll be downwind, and but I'm going to eat one of those and just be high as a kite as I deal with my neighbors.
Oh hell yeah. I love those the Fruity Pebble ones and all that stuff. Those are great.
I was at the NoHo Comedy Festival a year or two ago before the pandemic, and they're all sponsored. It's at the Ha Comedy Club in North Hollywood, and they were sponsored by weed dispensaries and stuff. So they gave me this one edible. It was the Fruity Pebbles ones,
Oh yeah.
And some of these edibles that are like that, you can taste it. It's like it has, carrots and edible, but it doesn't taste like a real treat. It's like it still has that taste. But this was delicious. So I was at the festival anyway. I was high as crazy. I was high anyway. I think I just got done doing the dope show, for God's sakes, and I was high. And I go back to my hotel room, and I got this edible brick of Fruity Pebbles. I'm like, oh, this is great. So I ate like half of it, and it was 100 milligrams.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I had the craziest dreams that night, Curt. I swear to God, I blew a unicorn. I mean, it was nuts. And edibles, you take too much at night, you dream in all kinds of psychedelic shit. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure.
I was at an alien orgy. I mean, it was beautiful. You know what I mean? And I had the biggest dick. So I was like, this is a great orgy. I'm not going to put a towel on. Who needs a towel? Alien orgy. That's a good one, by the way. That's where you write a joke around alien orgy.
Oh,
I don't think you could do that on a dry bar special.
Probably not.
Won't work.
Yeah. That's too bad. Yeah, the first time I ever did edibles was accidentally. I was living in Denver at the time. It was like 2009 or 10. And I was doing a show for Marijuana Radio. And there was quite a few comics on the list. So I was in the back. Me and my wife were sitting in the back. I was married at the time, and there were a bunch of snacks back there. So I started snacking on them, and then someone's like, "Oh, those are edibles," and I was like, "Oh shit!" So I wasn't a big smoker because I had asthma, so I'd only been high like maybe 3 times in my life, and I don't know how many milligrams I had, but they kicked in pretty quick, and I was pretty fucked up, and I looked at my wife and I was like, "I can't go on stage." She's like, "Really?" He's like, "There's no fucking way." I was like, "We gotta get out of here." And we lived downtown, so and the show was pretty close to downtown, so I was like, "Yeah, we gotta go." And I just walked off. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. Like, we just walked out the back door, and then we ended up on the 16th Street Mall. I think we went to the Cheesecake Factory or something, and
feel that stomach, man.
And then we watched that movie Avatar. Yeah, that was pretty good when you're high.
Great movie to watch when you're high. I was just talking about a time where I was so high. This was smoking weed years ago. I don't know if you're I don't know how old you are, Curt, but
41.
Yeah, I'm older than you. And there was a movie called Lawnmower Man.
Lawnmower Man. I've heard of it. I don't know if I've seen it.
Yeah, it's basically about, it's almost like the metaverse, like the like the internet to the system, and the guy takes, and there's scenes in there that when you're high, and we used to, we're gonna go. I saw the movie 3 times.
Uh-huh.
We saw it once, and then we got high, and we went with a bunch of friends, and we sat right in the front, so you're like, oh.
Yeah.
And these great scenes, like in this metaverse thing, and it was just crazy. But if I watch the movie now, I'm like, this fucking movie sucks. It's like when I watch Bruce Lee movies now, I'm like, it's not the same.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, you could tell all this,
Yeah. One of the most disappointing movies I watched as an adult that I loved as a kid was Howard the Duck. Did you ever see that movie?
I did once, just once.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it when I was a kid, but I watched it when I was like 30 something, and I was like, God damn it, this is garbage. Like I watched like 15 minutes of it.
Yeah. It's great when you see, like when you're a kid, you love the band Kiss, right?
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, it's Kiss. But then you see them and you watch them now as you're older, and like you watch other bands, you're like, they suck. They're the fucking worst band.
Oh yeah.
This anthem rock.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I was never a huge fan of Kiss. Like, I thought the costumes were cool and shit when I was a kid, but like I thought Andrew Dice Clay was funny when I was a kid too.
Yeah, but he had the saying.
But yeah, you listen when you're older and doing stand up for a while, and you're like, all right.
Yeah,
Why did I like this?
That doesn't hold up at the time.
Yeah,
at this point, it's nuts, man.
Yeah. Who's your favorite comedian you've ever worked with? Like, have you worked with any like big name comics?
I think one of the favorite comics that I got to work with would be Kevin Nealon, because A, he's funny, and B, he's like a really, really nice guy.
That's cool.
Brian Callen, I think, is just one of those guys that I really look up to, because every time I've ever seen that guy, he's got a new hour. And to me, that's just amazing.
That's crazy.
That's amazing to me when somebody could turn over the material. He's got an advantage because he's an actor, right? He's a performer.
Yeah.
So here's an example of a guy that does these act. He'll just stand there. Look at these thighs.
Uh-huh.
He'll sit there for 10 minutes, like patting his thighs, like, look at me.
Uh-huh.
And he just make faces. People are going to fucking laugh.
Yeah.
And that, to me, that's him though. That's an amazing thing. A newer comic, I was just talking to somebody about, Sam Morril. Hilarious, is blowing up.
Very funny.
Guys like that, that you work with now, Tom Rhodes, like one of the coolest guys in comedy,
Mm-hmm.
And of course our good friends, Tim Gaither, and of course Steve McGrew, who I heard about Steve McGrew's situation, and I was like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. Her guy's careers, because of his ideology, is getting ruined. And I remember hearing it. Then I got to work with the guy at the Looney Bin. I'm like, this guy doesn't even do politics in his act.
Yeah.
And
nothing about politics.
The whole stories, and he's just a killer. We had one of those nights at the Looney Bin in Tulsa where the MC had a really rough time. It was a rough crowd. I came out and battled for 20, pulling teeth, like just trying to get him going, and had him and then back. And I'm like, oh, what a crowd. And then of course, Steve McGrew goes out there and slays. You're like,
yeah.
That's it's always that incredible feeling when people say, you headline, and I always say, no, I'm a feature headlines, right? And because you have that, because you think you're doing great, and then you have one of those moments, and you're like, maybe when I'm at 25, 30 years, like these guys,
I worked with Steve, and I've worked with him quite a few times, but in Birmingham earlier this year. And I remember going up and just not doing well at all. And I was like, maybe it's the crowd. And then Steve goes up there, and I was like, that's not the crowd.
Was we at Stardom?
Yeah.
I actually got fired there the first time I worked there.
Really?
It was the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday block of shows, which are notoriously papered, right? And I think I was opening for Tim Polnick, a white comic.
Oh yeah.
And they had a guy, they had a local guy hosting who he killed, because he was doing Sinbad jokes and Chris Rock jokes. Yeah. He was just crushing doing somebody else's material. And I came out and it was like, and I didn't connect. It was predominantly black audience, and it was a papered audience. And I had a hard time, and I battled. And then then that, I think it was that night or something, the owner of the club calls me in the hotel. He's like, wow, that was pretty rough, huh? He's like, I go, yeah. I go, I work on it. He goes like, well, do you want me to switch? You'll host tomorrow, and I'll have the MC feature. I'm like, no, I got this. I'll tell you. And I came back the second night, got a little better and stuff, and then I get a call from Comedy Zone. Joel's like, hey man, the owner says you're not connecting, but we'll still pay you for the 3 days, but you got to get out of the hotel tonight or tomorrow, whatever it was. So
Oh, wow.
it's like, yeah, and that, of course that ate me up, and I was like, that, I never had anything like that happen. And then I got to redeem myself. I went back like a year or two later and on a Sunday show and just crushed it there, and had a great set. But of course, the owner wasn't there to see that. So
yeah,
but it could be a weird room. Could be definitely a weird room.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it took me a couple shows to figure out the crowd, and once I started talking slower, I did better.
Yeah, that's a big part of that, because it's like that. It's like that theater seating, right? Like, it's like you have to do that. You have to, and you're right, because I realized there were certain parts of the act they didn't even hear. They lost it before I got to the punchline because they didn't even figure it. Absolutely.
Yeah, but those first two shows were rough. But yeah, it ended up being a fun week. But yeah, watching Steve is great, man. He crushes it all the time. And Tim, of course. Tim just worked with Brian Callen at the KC Improv last week.
Oh yeah.
I
remember when I got to work with Tim with the Looney Bin in Little Rock, and I was worried about whether my material is a certain way, and then Tim comes out and goes, so how you guys doing with this fake pandemic? It's like, well, I don't have to worry about this. I remember,
Tim texted me and asked if I knew you, and I was like, yeah, I don't know him very well, but he's a really funny dude, so I think you guys will have a good time. And he really liked you, so that was cool.
Yeah, that was a weird weekend, because there was a guy from LA. I can't remember his name now. God Hates Jay. He works with really well-known comic. He helps him with his TV show or some shit, and he knows a lot of people. And he just hosted because he wanted the gig, and he did all right. And it was one of those situations where an LA comic goes to a place like Little Rock, and the shit doesn't fly like it does in LA, And but he got when he got there to the house, the condo. He walked in and he says, I'll be back. And he ended up getting a hotel room. And then Tim was with family or friends when he was there. So he never saw. I had the house to myself, but I was still staying in the one stupid fucking room. I'm like,
oh yeah,
can you guys at least tell me you're not coming? I would have taken the headliner suite, for God's sakes. But
yeah, that happened to me one week. I was there by myself, and I was like, it's super weird, I didn't realize the headliner was staying somewhere else, and the opener was local and stuff. And it was weird and kind of lonely.
Yeah, that's the worst. People don't realize that, like, especially young comics are like, oh, the road's got to be exciting. I go, it depends, like, where you go. But most of the time when you get up on a Saturday and you're just sitting there all day in the hotel, wherever it is, you're not going anywhere. Like, I have a friend that, oh, you're in so-and-so city. Did you go to this place that have the best barbecue, or this place has no. When I go places, man, I don't go see the scenery in all these places, Yeah. Especially me, like, I work, so I manage money for a living. So if it's during the week, I'm from 9 a.m. to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm pretty much in front of my computer anyway, watching CNBC and doing my shit. So it's not like I have all day to, sightsee. And then by 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, where do I want to go somewhere? Like, I don't like going anywhere when the day of a show, a few hours before the show. I don't like going anywhere. I just sit there and relax. I don't want to cause any potential shit, right? You don't go sightseeing an hour or two before the fucking show. No. I always thought that was interesting. People do that, but I'm weird before a show. I'm like really crazy about time. I'm like, oh, it's 2 hours before the show. Okay,
I rarely do anything on show days. Like, if I've got like a day off in Oklahoma City or whatever before I go to another Looney Bin, that's when I'll do the sightseeing stuff like that. Yeah, like on a Monday or whatever.
You're in Oklahoma City. What sightseeing you gonna fucking do? You know what I mean? It's like
the bombing memorial is actually pretty cool to go look at. Yeah, it's sad as shit, but it's definitely worth going. But other than that, I'd rather just sit there and watch TV and shit. Yeah, that's when I was married a long time ago. I remember this comedian asking me. He's like, man, you gotta love being on the road and stuff, right? And I go, Honestly, the only reason I do this is to get away from my wife so I can watch football in peace without her talking the whole time. And he's like, really?
I mean, there's a lot of truth to that, right? Like, I mean, I know my wife likes it when I'm out of town too, you know.
Oh, yeah.
What the best part is now here where we live, her best friend moved from Vegas here. So when I'm
Oh,
out of
cool.
town, her best friend from years is now here 5 minutes from us,
Nice.
which is great. So, but you know, there's something about that, you know, just getting away, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and having things to yourself,
Hmm.
you know, and being able to, because that's the problem. I become so unmotivated. I'll be on the road somewhere. I'll just sit there. You know, I won't brush my teeth until 2 hours before showtime if I don't have to. Like, why do I have to brush my teeth? I'm in my hotel. Who's going to complain?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's no need to rush. I don't, you know,
Uh-huh.
there's nothing happening, you know. It's just good. The only thing I rush for is if it's a really good breakfast in the morning, right?
Oh,
Nothing
yeah.
worse than being at a hotel and like our breakfast is from 5 a.m. to 7:30. Bitch, no one gets up that early. You know, like
I rarely make it for the one that lasts till 9 a.m.
9:30. When they say 9:30, I'm like, I'm gonna do it, you
Yeah.
know. And then you get there and there's no bacon. It's that shitty sausage. You're like, or it's a Danish, you know.
Yeah.
Ugh, very upsetting. I got up for this.
Do you have a favorite, like a favorite club you work or a couple clubs?
Favorite club. Well, I'll say this. Like, I love the Comedy Cabana in Myrtle Beach.
Hmm.
Why? Well, Jeff and Christine there are awesome. They take care of you. It's a fun club. But the thing I love about it is it's a Monday through Saturday,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Not, you know what I mean? So we were talking about doing time, like when you could do 7, 8 shows
Hmm.
and you're doing a half hour, you know, 560 minutes of, you know, stage. That to me is like you're in college, like a boot camp, you know.
Yeah.
So that I love that club, especially for that reason. Um, you know, I mean, you know, there's clubs in New York, you know, like it's fun. I got passed at Dangerfields in New York in November of 2019.
Hmm.
And now they closed.
Oh, shit.
I'm saying Gotham Comedy Club in New York City, which I work when I'm there. You know, it's a cool room, and New York is great. But man, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, I got to perform in Vegas at the Laugh Factory, which is a beautiful club, of
Hmm.
course, and the one in Reno. But to me, my favorite clubs are when you work when the club is at the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? When the venue is at the hotel,
Uh-huh.
and all you remember, I mentioned that about time and worried
Yeah,
about.
yeah, yeah.
There's nothing better than saying, "Oh, I can just walk down."
Hmm.
and
That's
go
what I
to
love about the Reno Laugh Factory, because me and Tim have done it like the last 4 years together. And yeah, the clubs there, the restaurants are all there in the casino. You don't have to go outside at all. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I got to work there with Joey Medina for New Year's a few years ago, and
Oh,
a
nice.
lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of fun. Reno is a weird place though. Is it me or does everybody in Reno have a limp?
Yeah.
Like if you drive down down the city of Reno, everybody's fucking limping. It's like, oh, there's an old guy limping. Okay. The lady's limping. Okay. That fucking baby is limping. Even the dog is
Yeah.
limping. Reno.
Yeah, me and Tim love just sitting in that restaurant and people watching for hours. Like we'll get high and we're always like, yeah, let's take our notebooks and we'll write some shit. And then we just sit down there high and like making fun of people and shit.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's always a good time. The crowds are always a little weird. Like you get some weird ass hecklers there.
Yeah, I mean, when I was there, I was the MC. Big Jay Hollingsworth was the feature, and Joey Medina was the headliner.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, I was on fire because I felt like I was auditioning for the place.
Yeah.
And Jay's hilarious, and of course Joey Medina's hilarious. So it was, you know, it was just a great week of shows,
Mhm.
And of course there's a poker room, so I got to play poker at night.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, which is always, you know, casino gigs are great, right? I mean, unless you lose the money, nothing worse than being in your first 2 days at a club and you're down the money you're going to get paid. You're like, fuck, I'm working for free.
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
a
it's the
lot of
worst.
time the casino gig, the most fun is the gambling part. The shows are usually okay, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's that like you know, at the LA Comedy Club at the Strat, you work there, you do your shows, you know, especially during the day, because when I do my job, I got to get up early. That's one thing that sucks with the East Coast time difference. I'm up at 5 a.m. and but by 12 o'clock, job is done. Now I have 7 hours before the show, so I'll go sit and play blackjack for 5 hours.
Hell yeah.
And have some fun that way. So it's always good shit.
That is cool, man. We already hit 45 minutes, man. It went by fast. Dude, thanks so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you again. It's been a while.
Have you mentioned to your fans about what we're?
I haven't yet because I want to make sure that it's all set in stone first. You know, and then but I'm excited for it, man. I think I've told some of my friends about it, and they think it's a cool idea. So
it is going to be the next blue collar comedy tour. It'll eclipse that. And I'm excited because I could see us playing theaters and stuff and booking that thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And the off night in the big clubs. And I think it's going to take off. And I think, with the people that we have on it, our closers.
Oh, dude. Yeah. That's what I'm looking forward to the most, is like just watching you guys perform every night, like just getting schooled, Now,
how would we do it? We would one of us be a host, and what would we do?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Tim and Steve obviously would be the headliners for sure, but
I wonder if they would flip flop, or because I was thinking in my head, I was like, yeah, I don't care if we flip flop and change it up and stuff, but with those guys,
I know I wouldn't want to follow Steve. I mean, I'd probably struggle following you or Tim too. Definitely, but
yeah, that's the thing. But actually, I did a gig recently. I can't remember where it was, and I think it was here in South Carolina. So they were like, "All right, where do you want to go? Do you want to go?" I'm like, it was me and the other guy, the other vet. Let's say the longer time guy. Who do you want to close? And I'm like, no, I'll go up earlier. I mean, that's always the great call. Why am I going to take a chance? Of having somebody, just crush ahead of me, number one. And number two, why am I going to take a chance of the crowd not being around? Right. Because it's a night, it's a bar show, or whatever it is. It's not a nightclub. I said, no, I'll go early. And it worked out. Fuck. Always take that. My buddy Lenny Travis taught me this. If you ever have a chance to go up, if somebody says, you want to go up first, you want to follow? I'm like, I'll go up first. Because it's a win-win.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Right, going up after, it could be a lose-lose.
Yeah, the first time I ever co-headlined with a guy was in Wyoming, and one of my friends had co-headlined with this guy before. He goes, "Here's what's going to happen. He's going to ask if he can go first. He's going to do 30 minutes and bail, and you're going to close out the show and do an hour, and you're going to get paid the same." And I was like, "Oh shit!" So that's exactly what happened. And that sucked, but
Yeah, and a lot of times when that happens too, that's what happens. Somebody will go up and they'll purposely just try to crush it. I did that with somebody once who opened for me, and the guy came up, was like, "Thanks, everybody." Did crowd work for fucking 25 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Good night. Good night." I'm like, and the minute the guy walked off stage, 2-4 high tops walked off. Like, all right.
Yeah.
I go, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing?" He's like, "What? They probably went to get a drink." I go, "You just closed the show."
Yeah.
You don't say, hey, enjoy the rest of the show, everybody. Thanks for coming. Enjoy your next, you don't sit there and good night, everybody. Peace. Good night. Fucking idiot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That same comic found out later, told people that he buried me that night.
Oh, really?
So funny. I'm like, yeah, he buried me in front of 20 people in the audience. He buried me.
Fucking people.
Yeah.
Well, man, yeah. I hope we get that going soon, man. I'm super excited about it. I think we'll do good things with it too, for sure.
Absolutely.
And, yeah. Holy shit. So hopefully we can start booking a few things here and there, and then get some promo material so we can start booking some more stuff. Because I think it's going to be a big thing too.
Yeah, we got to get the images so we can get the photos, the posters. Yeah. We already have a few locations that are ready to go on it. So
yeah.
That's the good thing. We get it out there, video it, and put it together and package it. I think we can get anywhere.
Absolutely.
We can put a tour together the whole year.
Oh, absolutely.
Weeks of it.
Yep.
Oh, be cool.
All right. Where can people find you online, Dougie?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Dougie Dangerous. You can find me at TikTok and on Twitter at Funny Fiduciary. I wish they could be the same, but some liberal putz from England had me kicked off Twitter, lost 10,000 followers. So you can follow me at Dougie Dangerous or on at Funny Fiduciary, TikTok and Twitter.
Oh yeah, buddy. Well, thanks so much for being on. I really appreciate it, man. And
my pleasure, Curt.
Hope you have a great New Year.
You too, man. Happy New Year to you. See you soon.
Thanks, buddy. All right, take care.
You got it.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. As always, if you want to like and subscribe on YouTube, that would be fantastic. Also, if you buy merchandise from my website, funnyfletcher.com, and enter in the promo code In the Rye Podcast, and that's all capitals, no spaces, you'll get 10% off of all your purchases on there. And as always, thank you guys for listening. Thank you to John Singleton from Anesthesia for the outro music. And thank you to Jarrett Reddick from Bowling for Soup for the intro music. Talk to you next time.